Do you think that people really know you?
No, people don't really know me, and that's by design.
Who is this person, the Sean Combs, that we don't know?
We have yet to find out.
Right.
You have to come along for the ride.
Boy, oh boy.
You have to come. I mean, that's the whole part of the journey. That's the whole part of entertainment. I mean, you don't rock with a brother for like going on 20 years and stop now. You got to see this movie all the way through, baby.
Boy, oh boy.
Believe me, I got an action-packed ending for you.
The world is their stage, and we are the audience, invited to consume whatever image they choose to present. They don't just build personas, they engineer perception. They control what we applaud and what we never question. Because when you're cloaked in power, fear does the talking for you. They let us believe we're forming our own opinions, that our curiosity is ours, that our conclusions are earned, but all of it curated, all of it designed. Legacy, weaponized, influence, industrialized. An image, well, image is gospel. Welcome to the Editorial Fold, where we peel back the curtain on the people the public chooses to idolize and remind you the larger-than-life image is often just that. An image, a performance, a production, a persona, staged, scripted, and sold. And if you're ready to stop watching the performance and start seeing the pattern, like, comment, and subscribe, because in this video, we're unpacking the illusion of Diddy. The following presentation is a narrative critique based on publicly available information, archived footage, news reports, and personal interpretation. All individuals are presumed innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. And this video does not seek to determine guilt or innocence, but to examine the power of image, influence, and manipulation in public life. Viewer discretion is advised. This content is for educational and commentary purposes only, under fair use. Chapter 1, Harlem raised him.
The Harlem Renaissance is one of the most iconic cultural periods in African American history. Throughout the decade of the 1920s, Black writing, art, and music flourished, ushering in a cultural revolution that rocked the United States.
One of the most important factors that accounted for the rise of what we know of as the Harlem Renaissance is the migration of Black peoples from the South to urban centers like Harlem.
The Jim Crow era began after Reconstruction, and every Southern African American had to think about, what should we do? Should we go or should we stay? For many of these people, it was a matter of life and death, literally.
Sometimes in the most repressive times, we create the most extraordinary art.
Before the mogul, before the millions, before Bad Boy, there was Harlem. Not the Harlem on postcards, but the Harlem that raised men to move like gods, even when their pockets were empty. Where style wasn't vanity, it was strategy. Where image could save your life, and performance was the culture. Sean Combs was born into that rhythm. Born November 4th, 1969, to a mother who modeled grace and a father who moved through Harlem's underworld, either beside Frank Lucas or behind the wheel for him.
Me and Melvin Combs were good friends. We did a lot of business together. Of course, it was not a legal business, but we did a lot of business together. And I was sorry to see what happened to him. That shocked the hell out of me.
By the age of 2, Sean knew 2 things. Power gets respect, image grants protection. Harlem gave him both. It taught him to be sharp, to enter a room like a storm, quiet, dressed well, and unforgettable. to make presence louder than words. And when Dapper Dan turned knockoff designer into cultural armor, young Sean was watching, learning, absorbing. He didn't just want money, he wanted command, he wanted control. And Harlem showed him how to wear both like silk. From the outside, he was all charm and ambition, but underneath the shine was a boy learning a rule he'd never forget. Control how they see you before they ever decide who you are.
The whole Puff Daddy situation that's going on right now.
Okay. I want you to listen to this carefully. I grew up with Puff Daddy's parents. Yeah. So, we all come from Harlem, born here, raised here. No matter what happens in the culture, it didn't just start. All right? No matter what happens in the culture, it didn't just start. A lot of things that you see happen came about from not even from my generation, but the generation that became before me. It's just that. A lot of the things that's happening today, because of social media, everybody gets to know about it.
That lesson would take him far, but with each room he entered, each stage he touched, the stakes got high, and the cost of that illusion became harder to hide. Because just 1 year after leaving Howard, Sean Combs would orchestrate something that would change everything. But not for the reasons the world remembers. Chapter 2, The Stampede, The Chaotic Rise to Fame.
One of the victim's brothers spoke to Jesse Mitchell about the justice he says never came.
The winter break calm seen across City College's campus seems very different than the scene on December 28, 1991, before the cheers that pierced through the silence of the night turned into screams.
This was the place to be.
Jason Swain was 17, hanging with his big brother Dirk, who was home from Hampton University, but he didn't join the group going to the student government-sponsored celebrity basketball game, hosted by Heavy D and little-known music producer Sean Diddy Combs.
And there was supposedly 5,000 in the gym, 800 in the staircase, and 1,000 right here.
Major stars from Run DMC to Jodeci showed up courtside, causing the crowd outside to surge beyond the capacity of security to contain.
They're here saying 1, 2, 3, push. And Dirk and the others are already down there.
The ensuing stampede crushed several and killed 9 people, including Dirk Swain. Their names now enshrined on a plaque outside the Nat Holman Gym. At the time, the up-and-coming Combs was cut from his label, but no one was ever charged with a crime. Civil lawsuits filed by the families against him and 9 other defendants all reached out-of-court settlements.
It was supposed to be a celebration, a benefit concert to unify, uplift, and inspire. But by the end of the night, 8 young people were dead, and more than 40 others were injured in one of the deadliest concert stampedes in New York City history. And somewhere in the center of that chaos stood a 20-year-old Sean Combs. The date was December 28, 1991. The location, City College of New York. The event was promoted by rapper Heavy D, co-promoted by Sean Puffy Combs, who at the time was a 20-year-old intern at Uptown Records. This event was organized to raise funds for AIDS education. The lineup featured some of the biggest names in hip-hop. A crowd of more than 2,000 people arrived. Some reports suggest even more. But due to last-minute changes and poor coordination, only one working entrance was open at the time of the show. As attendees pushed toward the single point of access, a crush formed in a stairwell. People were trampled, suffocated, and pinned against walls. Witnesses would later describe the scene as pure panic.
City College was a deep,
deep experience for me. I was there, I was on the floor, I watched people take their last breath, regurgitate, and die. You know?
We were there at the doorway pulling people in, trying to get them. It was bananas. I pulled friends through the door. You know, first time in my life, I gave mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to people. I was just bananas to me.
When we got down to the bottom, we just pulled them out. And that's when I think Tuffy came around. But I just walked off for a minute and then I came back. It was just all them people, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
The only reason I knew mouth-to-mouth is because my father's a nurse. So I was freaking out a lot. I was truly freaking out a lot. I watched people die. I'd never done that before.
The victims ranged in age from 16 to 28. Some died on the scene. Others were rushed to the hospitals, but never made it home. Outside, mothers waited, hoping their child's name wasn't on a list. In the days that followed, a press conference was held. Sean Combs appeared visibly shaken, seated beside Heavy D and their legal counsel. He told reporters, "I feel terrible that people were hurt, trying to come to something that was supposed to be positive." While Heavy D added, "It hurts me deeply. I didn't know anything had happened until the next morning."
So you were around with the City College incident.
Right.
Why don't you tell us what happened with that? Because there's a lot of speculation. People talk about satanic ritual, but you were there. What actually happened? And what's your takeaway?
Well, what happened is that it wasn't enough security, and they changed security at the last minute. I was supposed to do the outside door at City College. Me and about 18 other guys. They changed us with the Nation of Islam at the last minute. Puff called me about a few hours before the thing and said, "Yo, Gene, I can't use the 18 guys. Heavy D told me to go with the Nation of Islam." So then I said, "Yo, bro, they're not going to be able to hold them crowd." Because in my crowds, the people know that we always use 2 dogs, enough guys, and the guys that I use, I always use about 8 to 10 guys that were straight from the street that people knew, that they wasn't going to play with. You know what I mean? Then I'd use about 4 correction officers and probably 2 or 3 police officers. You know, so I had a sergeant on our team that, you know, he talked to the cops that there was a problem. So, but we had a pretty strong team. Puff cut us down and said, "Nah, we don't want that. Just bring me 8 guys, Gene, and y'all can work the gym. You know, just look out for the celebrity." So you got to realize you had people that was coming through there like LL Cool J. LL Cool J was the hottest thing in the rap industry at the time in '91. You had Mike Tyson, the heavyweight champion. Mm-hmm. And all these guys was coming through the front door. So what happened is that it was a stampede, whereas that they couldn't hold the front door. People bum rushed the front door and they ran down into a stairwell that Jessica Rosenberg, who was Puff's partner, locked the door on them, and the only way you could get inside the door if you push it open. It didn't. You had to push it open from the inside. She went in and slammed the door.
Still, no criminal charges were filed. The civil suit brought on by victims' families against the college and organizers was settled in 1999 for an undisclosed amount. And Diddy? His career accelerated. By the following year, he was producing hits at Uptown Records. And by 1993, he'd launched Bad Boy Entertainment. This wasn't just a tragedy. It was a lesson in momentum. It taught Diddy that power didn't require apology. That you can stand next to heartbreak and still rise if the spotlight loves you enough. The City College Stampede didn't end his career. It introduced him. And the first illusion is that with enough ambition, visibility, and spin, even a tragedy can be marketed into myth.